Tim. Welcome to Watch Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at what you just may as well call the franchise in Le Sentier. This is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Duo in the Grand Taille case, 42 millimeters lug to lug by 26 millimeters wide in stainless steel. This watch, more than any other product of La Grande Maison in the last 30 years, really represented the resurgence of the company. Not just a return to its heritage, but a determined statement of its intent to move forward with innovations. Now, the look is classic. Everyone knows the Reverso, even those who don't necessarily know its history or even know who manufactures it. The bottom line is that the Reverso is an Art Deco icon. Rectilinear, contrasting geometries, that lengthwise span of the wrist, the perpendicular intersection of the gadroons hand-carved across the case. You can see on my wrist, those two contrasting geometries really make the watch, giving it definition and strength and character that you would not expect in a smaller watch. Now, 42 millimeters is the lug to lug measurement here. The traditional Reverso was 38 from lug to lug, so the Grand Taille, or the GT case, was created in 1991 as JLC was kind of pulling itself off the mat from the quartz crisis. The company had become something of an Bausch supplier to the surviving Swiss watchmakers, had very few watches in production under its own name, and there were even talk of closing the company, of folding it and starting over again, but they decided to continue with the company, continue with the current watchmakers, and use the Reverso as the basis for the resurrection of the company. 1991, the 60th anniversary Reverso, the 60th really kicked off the comeback, and in 1994, the comeback hit its stride with this watch, the Reverso Duo. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it's quite handsome, ideally sized for a dress reference. Ostrich strap on this one. You can sort of see that from across the room. Those huge quills where the ostrich feathers are anchored mean that ostrich reads like nothing else. Very distinctive, but also kind of a neo-retro touch befitting of this watch's 1930s Art Deco origins. And that's where this watch kind of departs from tradition and recapitulates JLC's early 90s determination to look forward. Because whereas the first Reversos of the 1930s were designed for polo players with a metal case back on the facing side of the reversible case to protect from mallet strikes, in the modern era, you wear a G-Shock for that. What do you do with the second side of the Reverso? Well, you repurpose it. Instead of using the second side for engravings and a metal shield for the crystal, you use it as a canvas for a separate complication. And herein lies the key to the Reverso Duo. The JLC caliber 854 manufactured dual time, featuring both a conventional hours, minutes, and seconds dial on the one side and a travel time or reference time on the opposing side. So you have the hours and the minutes, and then you have a night and day 24-hour hand down here at 6 o'clock. Now you can wear the watch on either side, and I'm going to show it to you on the wrist with the dark dial. If you fit a separate strap, a darker strap, and wear the black side up, it becomes a completely different look, a completely different watch. Incredibly sporty, masculine, aggressive. There's that yin and yang effect. You can just as easily flip it over to the silvered side with the full Arabic numerals and the guilloche center, and there is a dot guilloche circumferential track around the outside, the periphery of the silver dial. It's classical. It's the Reverso from the 30s. It's everything you would expect in a dress watch, but it's only a flip away, and you can see the case side corrector for changing the time on the reverse dial. It's only a case flip away from a completely different aesthetic, feel, vibe, character. It's a transforming watch, always has been, but whereas the previous Reversos would have had a metal case back, at best good for engravings and personalization, this one adds complication. And of course, the JLC Manufacture 854 movement was designed explicitly for this case. 180 parts, 45-hour power reserve. It was a challenge to engineer such a complex mechanism that is, truth be told, fit into a case that's smaller than virtually any Rolex that you're going to encounter. Think about how thin that movement has to be. Dual time, with 4 hands, fit into this little vessel, which is, by the way, comprised of 50 parts, From 1984, when the Reverso was redesigned for the first time since the 1930s, to the present, it has had the most complex case in the industry. Watchmakers testify as to the challenge of taking one of these things apart, but the bottom line is, the result is unbelievable feel in the hand. It feels like a rifle bolt. As you cycle it back and forth, the quality is latent, manifest, and a true pleasure. It's beguiling to simply shift it back and forth on its bearings. To this day, even though this watch is a veteran from the 1990s, it feels as crisp and solid and coherent as the day it came out of Le Sentier. Now, I will show the back just so you know what it looks like. A lot of people ask about the case backs of watches that don't have any apparent movement display. It's the traditional Reverso. You can see the facets of the carriage, you can see the vertical striation of the graining, Reverso engraved at the top, and then at the bottom the Jaeger-LeCoultre corporate marquee. And I like these older Reverso Duos for a specific reason, and that is the use of the pusher corrector on the flank. Now, for the times that you need to actually reset this reference time, I find it's easy enough to use a plastic pen cap, a toothpick, or the corrector tool that comes with the watch. But the payoff is the perfect preservation of the golden ratio rectangle proportions of the Reverso case. You really don't have any apparent protuberance when viewed straight on, and even from the side the disruption of the profile is minimal. Now, the newer watches feature a button that actually sticks out and has about as high a profile as the crown itself, so some of the symmetry, some of the classical geometry of the watch is lost. Still handsome, but I think they got it right out of the gate. Carefully considered, beautifully rendered. I like this side for its delicacy. It's the feminine side, it's the softer side, it's the formal side. Blued hands, black Arabic numerals, hand-laid guilloche with the traditional rose engine, all the information you need for your affairs until you flip it. Now it's masculine, hard-edged, adventurous, the very idea of travel time, evocative of daring do in far-flung places. This is a romantic watch, hailing from the 1930s and the Art Deco era, the era when polo players in India would have inspired innovations in horology. It survives to the present day as the icon of a great manufacturer having lifted itself off the mat and risen to the absolute top of its game. The Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Duo Grand Taille 42mm in stainless steel is available from Watch You Want with all original factory boxes, papers, and accessories. See it on our website, Watch You Want, and I'm confident on this side or this side, this Reverso Duo Grand Taille will be the watch you want.